came knocking at his door. Oh, by the way, I left out one part. In 1937, the ship he was on, it was called the Rita Andres. If anyone knows the name Andres, anyone remembers Angie Busalis Morris? Her maiden name was Andres. And his ship was owned by people in her family. He traveled the world, and when the ship came and docked in Halifax, Nova Scotia, he went and told his uncle, by the way, Uncle, when the ship leaves, I'm not going to be on it. And he paid a man $250, which was a lot of money in 1937, to bring him from Halifax, Nova Scotia, to New York City, where he stayed in a hotel and wrote to his brother-in-law who lived in Minneapolis. Does anyone remember Tom Karakatsanis, the popcorn man at Loring Park? That was him. So my uncle got into his 1936, he always drove a DeSoto, and he took along with him, well, do you remember Tony Castanos? His mother, her name was Polixeni, went to my uncle and said, you know, that's a long drive out to New York. Oh, I have a daughter here who, who can drive, and she can help you drive, but of course I've got to come along too. Well, her idea was that maybe, her daughter would like to meet my father. In any case, they met, and eventually he was in her wedding, but only as a groomsman. And she became my mama. So it was a lifelong friendship. Well, Tom drove all the way to New York, came back here. My father got a job at the Nankin. Then he got a job at the Radisson Hotel. He learned his English. And then, of course, World War II broke out. He told the immigration people in 1940 he was expecting to join the army and everything would be fine. They couldn't send him back to Greece anyway. Shipping was all, it had stopped. So, in 1942, early 1942, he joined the army. And I haven't gotten his army records back yet, but he managed to get 4 stripes in a matter of 2.5 years. So he did all right for a foreigner, a staff sergeant. And then he got out and came to the same problem of, I need a pika for my sister. Now, what happened to Porthia Katina in the last 5 years, or 6, since he sent the original money? She got old, way past marrying age. She must have been all of maybe 25. So now she didn't need $2,500, she needed 5. And my father went to work, and he sent $5,000 over. And in 1950, he said to his sister, I think it's time for me to get married. Maybe I'll go to Greece. Maybe I'll stay here. I asked the people who knew my father, what was he like? There were maybe 6 or 7 people in the room, and in unison, they all said, oh, he was the biggest flirt in the world. that was just as simply his personality. He was flirtatious, and he loved to sing, especially sing love songs to pretty girls. Helen Hasselstrom may remember. Do you remember my dad that he used to sing? And he used to, yeah, did you remember? You know what? We had a great group of Heans here in Minneapolis. Her father, Helen's father, was one of the greatest. I remember him so well. All the Mazitruses, they're all great people. But anyway, it came time for my father to marry. My aunt rather, said to him, go to Greece, go find a wife. So she wrote, my aunt, Mimika, wrote to her sister, Angela, who was the one that wouldn't make my dad his pants, and said, look, John's coming over. I want you to find a good wife for him. And I think they did a fine job. My mother is a great, great woman. They were supposed to go to church one Sunday. I said, look, John, she's going to be in church. And if you look over, she'll be sitting over by your sister. In Greece, they don't sit together in church, men and women. He said, and she'll see you, and, we can get things fixed up rather quickly if you like her. So he said, yeah, I like her. And she said, yeah, I like him. So the families got together, made the deal. And after all the people my father paid, he knew that my mother's family was rather poor. And she had a younger sister that still needed to marry. So he turned down his pika. Never mind that he borrowed $750 to make the trip to go to Greece to get married in the first place. But they got married. They met in early September, got married in late September of 1950. I told my nephews that one time, and I said, can you imagine marrying someone like that? And they said, oh, no, that's funny. I said, yeah, Papu did that. They said, you're kidding. No, I'm not. They made plans. They came back to America. They raised a wonderful family. I believe we are a very loving family. My father did fairly well in life. He was very headstrong. He could do anything he wanted. There was no telling him no. He knew how to say no. Like every time I asked to borrow the car. And the worst part was, well, it was always, no, you can't use the car until this girl from Iowa, whose name happened to be Athena, and we won't mention last names, she came to visit one time. My dad said, Tom, why don't you take Athena for a little ride? Go somewhere. I said, well, Ben, he said, and take my car. And here are the keys. He's, never said that before. So a girl from the neighborhood, no way. A girl from Iowa who happens to be Greek, she got the go-ahead. By the way, she's married and lives in Canada now. But I learned a lot of things from my parents and their families, both their families. 2 lessons I will take with me to the grave. First one was I had my father's cousin. He was a fisherman in Greece, and I went out fishing with him one time with the nets, and we set the nets out at night, and the next morning we went and picked up the nets. Filthy job. My job was just to steer the boat, so I didn't have to touch anything but the rudder. And when we got back, my uncle said, or my dad's cousin said, I started selling the fish. And a man came over and he said, I'd like to buy 2 kilos of fish. And my dad's cousin weighed them out and he said, there we go, it's 2 kilos. And the man came running over and he said, hey, wait a minute, he said, that's 2 1/4 kilos. It's, truth of the matter was, it was probably, he was undercharging the man. But when the man paid for his fish and left, I should mention the man was blind, couldn't see the scale. The man who came running over to tell my dad's cousin, you're undercharging him, I noticed, well, he was simply lying. And I noticed a great lesson in just the thing that they did, not anything that they said. My dad's uncle said, you want me to steal from a blind man? And the guy said he couldn't see the scale. And I thought to myself, here I am looking at Satan and Christ. 2 ideas. So that was one lesson. Second lesson I learned when my father died. Each and every person in this room should learn this lesson. And that is, when you love someone, tell them. Don't forget to tell them. Tell them often, whether it's your children, your parents, your sisters, brothers, siblings, or friends. Because love always ends in tears. It never ends happily. So, by the way, I love you all. Thank you.